Inflation was up 4.9% in August of 2021. What has caused such a jump? Do we really understand what inflation is and what brings about such a problem or an issue? I think the more important question is, what do we do about it? If you want answers to these questions, please watch this video. Hello mga ka-RFF, this is again Rex Mendoza of Rampver Financials. I hope you're all doing well with your family and loved ones. I pray that you're taking care and staying safe and not just surviving but thriving during these pandemic times. Inflation is something that we hear about time and again. But you see, medyo hindi po yata natin naiintindihan ng todo ang inflation. I think marami sa atin parang takot na takot agad pag naririnig ang pagtaas ng inflation. Maybe some of us do, some of us don't know much about it, and that's the reason why I actually thought about doing this video. We will be talking about certain terms like CPI or the Consumer Price Index, things that are in the equation for computing inflation. Let us all understand the basics so that we get to know the more important part, which is how to respond to inflation going higher and creating havoc and impact on our financial situation. These concepts have been discussed in college, but maybe many of us did not take that or baka absent tayo. I think it's also very different if we take note of certain concepts and principles because they impact our lives. Pag medyo sa eskwela lang and the approach is theoretical, maybe the appreciation and understanding is not that much. That's the reason why we're having this video, for us to be able to appreciate these concepts better and know how to be able to effectively respond to them. So, alam niyo po, bago tayo mag-discuss ng inflation, punta muna tayo dun sa tinatawag na CPI or the Consumer Price Index. What is the Consumer Price Index? It is an indicator of change in the average prices of goods and services commonly purchased by a consumer relative to a given base year. Ang bigat naman ng language na yon, mukhang nosebleed. So, himayin natin. Ang Consumer Price Index, tatlong elemento niyan. Number one is a base year. Siyempre, kailangan meron tayong pinagmumulan. Kasi nga, percentage ito increase or decrease. So, it's a base year and as of the moment, we're using 2012. So, sa Pilipinas po, kinocompute natin yan buwan-buwan at taon-taon relative to a base year. But we're doing this on an annual basis using number 2 element, which is a market basket. Kasi hindi naman po dito kasali lahat ng goods and services in a given market. Talaga pong pinipili nila ano ba ang relevant dun sa tinatawag na consumer base. Kasi pag tayo'y gumagawa ng index, much like the Philippine Stock Exchange Index, ang hirap pong sundan ng index na napakarami. So dito sa Philippine Stock Exchange, di ba, we put it down or scaled it down into 30 top stocks in the marketplace. Ganon din po dito sa CPI. We're using a basket of goods, 12 in fact groupings of goods that I'm going to be discussing with you moving forward. So kailangan may basket. And lastly, may weights. Kasi hindi naman pare-parehong consumption natin ng lahat ng bagay na yun . So kailangan may mas mabibigat. Siyempre po, yung ating mga grocery, yung kinakain natin sa araw-araw. Tapos yung non-alcoholic drinks, siyempre, mas mabigat yan than alcoholic drinks. Dapat naman talaga, hindi tayo umiinom ng alcoholic drinks in pace with the way we eat, our daily meals. So, wini-weight po yan, and the weighting is even divided between NCR or the National Capital Region where, the economy of the country is really concentrated, pero kailangan may weighting din yung outside of the NCR or the National Capital Region para meron naman tayong representation sa ating mga probinsya. So again, uulitin ko, it's a relative indicator of change. So dapat may base, dapat may basket of goods na basihan, and may weighting para dun sa mga mas importante sa atin, mas lagi nating ginagamit or kinoconsume than others. Sa weights po, syempre, may representation na malaki ang NCR or ang National Capital Region, which is supposedly the center of our economy. Pero alam nyo naman, NCR, iisa lang yan. Iba't ibang region. Siyempre, napakaraming region ng bansa. So kung kukumpara mo talaga, mabigat yung weighting ng areas outside the National Capital Region. It's just that by itself, malaki po ang numero nito. Siyempre ito, i-divide natin sa lahat ng regions. But this is a bigger number because this is a much bigger base than NCR by itself. But as a single input, siyempre pinakamalaki po ang National Capital Region. So ano ba itong mga groupings na ito? Itong tinatawag na commodity groups. Okay, so number one, syempre pinakamadalas nating i-consume is food and non-alcoholic beverages. 38 po ang weighting niyan. It's divided between NCR at 6.42 and areas outside NCR at almost 32. Ang number 2 po, alcoholic beverages, tobacco, mababa po yan, 1.58. Clothing and footwear, 2.93. Housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels, yan po ang commodity grouping number 4, mabigat yan. 22.04 ang weighting yan. 6.5 for Metro Manila, 15.54 for areas outside the NCR. Okay? Number 5, furnishings, household equipment, routine household maintenance, 2.95. Health, 3.89. Transport is number 7, malaki-laki, 8.06. Communication, dati po hindi ganun kalaki ito. Ngayon, 2.93 na as it has become more and more important in our lives. No? Number 9, recreation and culture at 1.41. Education at 3.28. And lastly, restaurant and miscellaneous goods and services at 12.59. So yan po ang composition. Yan ang nakikita natin na base na kinukumpara natin year on year. So if that's the basket of these commodity groups that are being monitored by the Philippine Statistics Authority, paano naman natin nasabing umaakyat ang presyo ng mga yan? Siyempre, meron pong stimulus para mangyari yan. There are two ways by which prices in the consumer price index generally moves up. Number 1, with the increase in money supply. Alam naman po natin, medyo ang ating Bangko Sentral naging accommodative, meaning nagbaba ng interest rates, nag-operate at sumali sa bond markets, got into what we call a bit of stimulus infusion, at nagbaba pa ng reserve requirement. So all of these things put a lot more money supply in the market, at pag mas marami pong pera given a constant level of goods and services, aakyat po ang presyo niyan. The other factor that we're talking about is the impact of supply and demand changes within a given economy. Siyempre po, pag tumaas ang supply ng isang produkto at ang demand pareho, siyempre, bababa ang presyo niyan. Pag umakyat ang demand pero ang supply naman bumaba, aakyat ang presyo niyan. So kailangan, in a given set of commodities, we will also have to see supply and demand changes. But it's not as linear as that. Minsan po, iba't iba din ang reaksyon ng bawat merkado. Bigyan ko kayo ng example. Di ba? Swine flu. Di ba? Ang daming namatay na baboy. So dapat, bababa ang supply ng baboy. Technically ba, tumaas ang presyo ng baboy? Hindi po eh. Bumaba ang presyo ng baboy. Bakit? Maraming namatay na baboy, pero ang daming bumibili ng baboy na hindi na bumili kasi natatakot baka maapektuhan sila ng swine flu. So mas bumaba ang demand. So ano nangyari? bumaba ang presyo because the whole market avoided pork. So kailangan po, when we see this, it's not simply a theoretical manifestation. We will have to go back to the market and really get the data. This is what PSA is doing. So using CPI, makita po natin ngayon, dito manggagaling yung computation ng tinatawag nating inflation. Inflation is the rate of change in the average price of a commodity between two periods. So dito yung makikita, very important ito. Kasi po, every product has its own inflation rate. Kasi minsan, akala ng marami, when you say inflation rate, average po yan. When we say it's the general inflation rate, it pertains to the CPI. It's a generalized view of a basket of goods. So, example po, sinabi natin, August, 4.9% ang inflation rate. Ibig sabihin po ba, lahat ng produkto umakyat ng 4.9% within that given period? Siyempre po hindi. Average nga ang CPI eh. So if you're going to be looking at this on a granular basis, inflation rate is different per product. Ang napakaganda pong example, hospital inflation. Hindi naman po siguro nakakagulat. Hospital inflation is expected obviously to be higher than 4.9. Kasi 2 years ago, when we go to the hospital, hindi naman lahat ng doktor at lahat ng nurse naka-PPE. Hindi naman lahat kailangan ng testing. Hindi naman ganun kapuno. At maraming ospital pa, let's face it, fini-finance pa nila ngayon yung mga hindi nababayaran ng PhilHealth, so much so that that financing expense sometimes has to be borne by patients. In which case, hospital inflation is expected to be higher than general inflation. So you have to realize that when we say general inflation, that's based on CPI. But every product or service has its own inflation. How do we compute inflation? Pag nakita nyo yung formula, nakakagulat eh. Nakakagulat. Ang dami pong letra at ang daming mga factors na involved. Pero alam nyo, simple lang naman talaga yan eh. Ano ibig sabihin yan? Ang pag-compute daw ng inflation rate is CPI for this month of this year minus CPI of the same month a year ago. T minus 1. Yun po ang ibig sabihin yan. Divided by CPI this month, this year, August 2021 minus 1 times 100. Yun po ang kalalabasan nung 4.9. So we can actually compute inflation rates for over a year or monthly within the year. Siguro na po kung anong relevance ng information na hinahanap natin. But again, let us go back. Bakit ba sumipa? Bakit ba naging 4.9%? Eh, ang bigat pala ng movement nung tinatawag na food and non-alcoholic beverage. Yun ang pinakamalaki, di ba? Almost 40 ang weighting nun eh. Eh, umakyat pala siya ng 6.5% during the month. Ang inakyat niya nung July, 4.9% lang. Yung Recreation and Culture Index, umakyat din ng 0.5%, pero lagi yung nagdi-decrease since August of 2020. Ngayon lang umakyat uli. So that's a bit of a reversal. So ano pa yung malalaking numero? 10.3% ang inakyat ng alcoholic beverages and tobacco. Siguro na rin ito sa dating ng supply and demand. Ano? Kasi kung makikita nyo, even transportation, 7.2%. Siyempre, konti lang ang bumabiyahe, wala tayong masyadong option, at even yung mga transport options. Kahit po dati, sasakay ka ng eroplano, uulitin natin, yung mga quarantine, yung mga health protocols na yan, nakakadagdag yan sa presyo. Dahil yung mga service providers kailangan din mag-test, magsuot ng mga pananggalang. And sometimes, alam nila, hindi naman lahat ganun ka-responsable. So, nagsusupply din sila ng tinatawag na protective equipment to passengers. So, minsan po, kasama pa yan sa presyo. Tinatak-in nila yan. So, transport's also big. Restaurant and miscellaneous goods and services at 3.8 ang inakyat. Furnishings, household equipment, 2.5%. Housing and water, one of the biggest components of the basket, Okay? 3.1%. Ang mababa po, clothing and footwear. Siyempre, most of us are in the house. Walang masyadong namimili ngayon yan except for a few people na talagang active pa din sa Lazada. No? So, 1.8% lang. So, all of these, suma total, nag 4.9 ng inflation. But what is relevant for us is how we are going to be responding to it. Yes, inflation is a problem, but it can also present opportunities. It is a given. We should be able to react to it proactively. We have to take it within the horns that it's quite a given and let us manage the way we do things to become better. Not just to survive, but to thrive. So ano po ang kailangan nating mga gawin? Number 1, advice. Make wise purchases. Umaakyat ang CPI, umaakyat ang inflation. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Inversely, bumababa naman ang value ng peso. So, minsan po, medyo may konting question ako dun sa maraming nagtitipid, nakalagay sa savings at time deposit. Tapos, hindi nila alam, mas malaki pang inaakyat ng presyo ng bilihin kaysa dun sa interest na binibigay ng bangko. So you're actually losing money while you're keeping it. Now, I agree if it's for an emergency fund, if it's something for, security. I agree with that. But if you're about to spend it anyway, alam nyo, kung makakakita tayo ng good deals, kung makakakita tayo ng discounts, let us spend the right money and let us store that product kung talagang kailangan natin eh. Kaya po sinasabi ko sa marami, mas mabuti pa siguro, tingnan na natin kung anong ating mga pangangailangan, let us budget correctly, and if we buy at the right time, in the volume that's going to be helpful, we can actually save money. And yung savings na yon, because of the purchasing power decrease that will be the risk for the future, baka mas malaki pa dun sa interest na kinikita nyo sa bangko. So in this particular situation, spending becomes an investment. Spending on goods that we're going to be using and we're going to be enjoying anyway is actually an investment. Number 2, hold real assets. Invest in real assets that will keep pace with inflation. Alam naman nating lahat, real estate is an inflation hedge. It appreciates in value because there is such a thing as a replacement cost. Hindi mo na mabibili ang sementong yan, yung bakal na yan, yung glass na yan at the same price. So in the future, the cost of a house is going to be more expensive. So if you can invest in those and you can have the luxury of investing in those, you might be better off doing that. So mapapaupa mo na o kung hindi mo man mapaupa, umaakyat naman ang presyo niya, hindi kagaya ng ibang assets mo na natetenga lang at nawawalan lang ng value. When we talk about other hard assets, maganda rin pong minsan maghawak ng gold at ng diamonds. Precious metals, precious gems. Ang ayaw ko lang dyan, technically, a lot of international financial advisors will say that, but in the Philippine context, I wouldn't really advise it. Number 1, delikado po ang handling. Hindi po natin masabi what risks we are actually taking in because handling of these physical products can be quite an issue. On top of that, and something that's personal as far as I'm concerned, kasi po, passive investment yan eh. They don't create anything, they don't create value. You're just buying them to store them, hoping that sometime later, somebody will buy it from you at a higher price. Wala po siyang production, wala po siyang silbi. Hindi kagaya ng ibang hard investments like, as I've said, real property where there is what we call functional value and added service value, not just to you, but maybe to other people. Number 3, use leverage. Now is a good time to borrow. Very important po kailangan sabihin ko ito. When you borrow to invest now, that is going to be good because you're using other people's money to earn from it. For your business, for some endeavor where you think you can earn more over and above the interest rate that you're going to be charged. Lagi ko pong sinasabi, there are 2 kinds of debt. Good debt, bad debt. Bad debt is when you borrow to enjoy something you cannot afford. Wag po yan. Yung mangungutang ka ngayon para bumili ng luho, para bumili ng isang bagay na may enjoy mo, kahit papano magbabayad ka pa rin ng interest. But if you're going to borrow with an asset, a business, or an investment to back it up, then that's gonna be good debt. Lalong-lalo na kung yung negosyo at yung asset kikita ng mas malaki dun sa interest ng pera. So you can actually have the use of other people's money. You earn from the use of other people's capital. As we leverage on capital and we also leverage on the talent of other people, we can muster enough to earn a lot more and maybe even thrive within the pandemic. Lastly, there is a huge call, a very strong call to invest. If you can have the cash flow, if you can have the liquidity, huwag nyo pong patulugin yung pera dahil at 4.9%, you're losing money while you save it. The bank is just giving you anywhere from 0.75 to 2%. Meron pa pong withholding tax yan. So ano mangyayari? Mababawasan tayo ng value. Kasi kumikita ka ng ganitong kaliit, may inflation na 4.9. So, kailangan humanap tayo ng mga investments. Two examples, stocks. If you can invest in companies that can thrive even within the pandemic. Alam na po natin yan. Retail essentials, technology, telecommunications, they're all doing well now. So pwede pong mag-invest sa mga kumpanya na palagay natin will do well in times like this. At sila po yung nakakapag-expand ng kanilang kapital. Kasi po they can borrow at very low rates today to expand their business, to strengthen and fortify their market positions while they're paying very little interest. Kaya makikita nyo ngayon, lahat ng malalaking korporasyon, they are refinancing their old loans, they're paying them off, and they're getting new debt today. Para po nare-refinance, mas mababa pa ang cost. And they borrow new money. You know, ang great example po nito, si Apple. Si Apple, makikita nyo, 2 billion ang cash hoard niyan. Pero bit nangungutang pa. O doon kayo magtataka, bit nangungutang pa. Kasi ngayon, if Apple can borrow at a prime rate in the US, 1%, magagamit niya itong perang ito to fortify their investments in other companies that do applications, that do, you know, a lot of other support services that can make them a stronger company. So kahit may pera sila, nangungutang pa sila because they can earn from that money. Now, sabi ng marami, because fiat money is getting cheaper dahil po sa continuous printing ng mga gobyerno ng fiat money. At tuloy-tuloy pa rin po ang ating stimulus spending. In fact, dwarf na dwarf po yung stimulus spending noong 2008. The crisis of 2008 was nothing compared to the stimulus spending that's being done today. So because of that, talaga pong nagkakaroon din ng idea na might be a good recourse to invest in cryptocurrencies. Now, ulitin ko po, sinabi ko lang magandang mag-invest, but if you don't understand this, don't do so. You invest money that you can afford to lose, but you don't even put it there if you don't understand it. Pag sinabi ko pong cryptocurrencies, there are sound basis for some cryptocurrencies. They are sitting in real blockchain technology that will benefit a lot of users in the future. They can have a full ecosystem which can be strong in what we call the digital world. And lastly, marami po silang use cases that in the future, their coins are really going to be worthwhile holding. So again, intindihin muna po natin yung mga yan before tayo maglagay. But because ito nga, yung fiat money na tinatawag, yung regular, alam natin na peso, dollar, medyo challenge yan because of the very strong thrusts to provide stimulus for economies. Talaga pong maaaring better na mag-invest din sa decentralized platforms and cryptocurrencies. I hope this video has been useful for many of you. For some, it could have been a good review dahil alam nyo naman, siguro yung kung mga konseptong pinag-usapan natin, alam nyo na. But for the others, it can be a deeper appreciation of what is happening and what could be done. Ito po uli si Rex Mendoza of Ramper Financials. Nag-iimbita sa inyo to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and tap the bell button so we can immediately notify you of great videos that we'll be posting in the near future. Till then, maraming salamat po and blessings always.